All right, we're here at GALA in Montreal with the chairman of the board. Or what is your official position, Allison Ferch?
I'm the executive director.
Executive director. All right, I should have gotten that right before we started interviewing. But you'll forgive me. You're not a big title person, I hope. All right,
Nope.
good. I wanted to talk to you this morning a little bit about the technological advances in the localization industry and the challenges it brings along. Over the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of talk online about LangOps and the pros and the cons of using that word. How does GALA see the future of localization, and does it support the development and implementation of LangOps amongst its members?
Yeah. I think we have a problem in that we don't have a consensus amongst ourselves on what we call what we do. I mean, all of us have these stories of being asked, what do you do? And it takes do you have 5 minutes? Then I'll tell you what we do, and let me define 5 things along the way. So I think to the extent that LangOps gives us vocabulary that's a little more understandable by outsiders or people that don't identify as language nerds, it's a useful term, and I feel like the elements like the automation and the technology everybody's talking about them, but I feel like if we're going to promote this industry beyond and reach adjacent audiences and really be understood and known by outsiders, we have to agree on some vocabulary.
Yeah, we're gonna have that discussion for a while going forward. I assume. I don't particularly feel strongly about the specific term LangOps, but my position is that we should come up with something different, though, because what we're doing is way beyond the translation box, and what we're going to be doing, what we're aiming to be doing, might be far away from the original broadcasting function that we have from one language into the other.
For sure.
It's going to be bi-directional, if not omnidirectional communication that we're getting involved in, and there'll be data analytics and all kinds of other AI functions. So it's your interview, but I had to chime in and give you the counterweight there from the LangOps position, so to speak. So it's an interesting discussion. When we post this, we're going to get some comments I bet, and people will chime in on what they think about the word LangOps. Let's talk a bit about the adjustments the localization community is making to the new technologies. How do you think GALA is fostering a sense of community amongst its professionals involved in localization? And how do you think we can broaden our reach beyond just people that are involved with translation per se?
Mm-hmm. Well, I might start with the second half of that question about broadening the reach. And I do think that a critical part of that is the vocabulary and being able to explain to others what this is all about so that they see themselves that way. So for example, you might identify yourself as a language person, but there might be someone who thinks of themselves as a customer service person or a global UX person or a compliance person or any other number of things, when really a lot of what they're doing might have significant overlap, especially if they're on the enterprise side. The first half of the question, you have to remind me.
What are you doing
to build community?
To build community?
Oh,
yeah.
That's a softball, actually. So, I mean, really, that's GALA's culture. So we're focused on building community and providing professional development. And I would say special interest groups are really important. Those are small communities.
Yeah.
And then we have a brand new one called AI use cases, special interest groups. So that one addresses specifically the impacts and the implementation of AI and failures and successes and things like compliance and data security and data privacy, like real nitty-gritty stuff. And then we've got other special interest groups for other communities interpreting inclusive language, audiovisual localization. So those are micro communities. And then, of course, our conference, as you know, is the big community. And we really nurture a culture of openness and warmth and information sharing and authenticity, even if it's about failure. And I believe that we create the infrastructure, but the people, the audience, they bring that sense of community.
Yeah. What's so special about GALA too is that you have a lot of people from all walks of the localization industry come together and share their story and give them an opportunity to learn. We had that on display a little bit in the session this morning, and I thought we need to talk about that in my little interview with Allison. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to climb on your soapbox and broadcast to the localization community what kind of efforts you're making to support the members and adapting these changes. There's a lot of things that are happening. It's almost daily that the technology is changing. What's GALA doing to educate its members and get prepared for the new tech space?
Sure. It's obviously an important component of what we're doing right now. We have a ton of content, so there's articles, we do webinars, we do academies, which are quarterly courses, we have the special interest groups, we have conferences, small conferences, regional conferences, we call them road shows, and basically we're giving the community an opportunity to come together and share, but we're also bringing subject matter experts to share their knowledge. I think the other thing that GALA can do in this situation, because there is a ton of uncertainty, is be that like calming presence, if you will, the voice of reason, and actually the voice of the collective. Because while you may have a conversation with somebody who says, oh my gosh, it was a terrible year, where we've been in the red for 2 years, or we're freaking out, you might have a conversation with someone else who said, we grew 40% last year.
Yeah.
But you might not know that. Well, we know that because we talk to them and we hear that. So I think we can be sort of a voice of reason and calm and anti-hype, and we can give people a place to tell the truth.
And learn maybe what the person who grew the company by 40% did differently and possibly get some lessons out of that. That's the real value of GALA. I'm really super impressed with the conference here in Montreal, and I can't recommend anybody in localization enough to be part of GALA. Thank you so much, Allison.
Thanks.